not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip, and CJ's here, but he's having technical difficulties, so he'll say hello as soon as we get this resolved. So I guess it is Monday, the beginning of a new week, fairly slow weekend, Easter weekend, Passover. We hope everybody had a good holiday weekend. I guess everybody, when I noticed when I was driving around, the local restaurants were loaded. I drove by White's and the Venus. They were packed for people getting their dinners. So hope everybody had ate their fill.
I'm here.
Oh, he's here. See, I did enough fluff stuff to get us into the. To get us, the CJ has arrived. He's
well, I've been here. We had a camera issue.
I know. I told everybody. Yeah, I said you
were there.
We had a camera issue. But we were having technical difficulties.
Live TV. You
Live
can't,
TV always. Yeah.
You can't get around it.
So we're here. We've been introduced. We took care of the saying that we hope everybody had a great
Passover or Easter or whatever the case may be.
Easter or whatever, or just a good weekend to relax.
And it snowed today.
And it snowed, and actually, we got it's light, but we got actually pretty decent accumulation.
It's aggravating.
Yeah, just enough to aggravate.
It's April 2nd, come on.
Just enough that you had to clean your car, and that's the thing. The driveway was fine, but the car, you couldn't see out of any of the windows.
Yeah, I couldn't find my snow brush.
Yeah. And by the way, everybody out there, it's illegal to make like a little porthole that you can see and drive with your car looking like a moving igloo. That's actually illegal. You can get stopped for that and ticketed because you're supposed to have, unobstructed view in your vehicle, so you have to clean your vehicle.
My windshields were cleared off.
Yeah. But I saw one today driving with a porthole. driving down Eastern Avenue with a porthole. The rest of the car looked like an igloo.
Hey, if it works for them, what can you do?
They can only drive one direction anyway, nice and straight, so they're totally focused.
Well, did anyone read Marc Dion's Easter column?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, any March, yeah. Well, it is true that the city, and that's one of the problems I think that
this city is so apathetic.
Why we have these problems in a city. You don't see a lot of participation in anything.
Right.
And they don't go to the polls, and that's important. And you see marches in all these
Boston, Providence, Washington,
small towns when something happens, and you never see anything. And he makes a good point, but that point is kind of an indication of why we have the problems we have. We can't get people engaged enough. But then again, maybe he had a line here. He said that in Fall River we're watching a Pats game or the Celtics game or the Red Sox game or whatever stupid artificial competition we can find to fill the time between working for low wages and dying. And that may be actually one of the problems. The people in this city really don't have time because they're trying to, unlike the fact that they keep taxing us like we're Newton and we make those wages, most people in this community are working their butts off to just pay their bills, and some of them have 2 jobs and 3 jobs, and they're still barely making ends meet. But, and that's, I think, one of the problems we have in this community.
Oh, definitely.
You see that in virtually all. You don't see a lot of engagement in the process in Lawrence or Lowell either. I mean, the reality is when you go to these communities that are economically depressed, you don't see a lot of people, jumping on the causes and marching for this and marching for that because they're too damn busy trying to make ends meet and trying to feed themselves and their families.
Yeah, plus we also have a lot of apathy in Fall River.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
we have a lot of
then
apathy.
again, hard work sometimes, tiredness that can be interpreted as apathy, you know? So,
well,
I mean, but there is apathy, obviously. But the other thing, it's not apathy. It's not even apathy. It's rationalization. I don't know how many people that I've tried to get engaged, and I get fundamentally the same response. Well, why bother? There's nothing we can do.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
There's nothing we can do. That's the way it is. There's nothing we can... But there is. If everybody that said that actually got up, walked out their front door, and went to the polls, we would have a completely different city.
I know. And, you know, it's interesting because over the weekend, I noticed on social media that a lot of people were complaining about their water bills. Now, didn't we just bring this up a few weeks ago on our show about the increasing cost of water and sewer?
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't understand this. My water bill was $500, and I have a two-family house. I don't understand this. My water bill was $300, and I have a single-family home. What's going on? Why is my water so high? Because you voted for a $123 million bond.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
your city council doesn't care. They just keep approving everything. New jobs, new fees, new taxes, new everything.
That's what I said. I said, look, you approved a $123 million bond, and then you've got a city council which loves taxes and fees. I said, you want to make a change? Get rid of the entire city council. Not one, not two, all 9. And don't tell me your guy. But I want to keep my guy. No, you don't want to keep your guy. Your guy voted for increased water fees. So guess what? Get rid of all of them. Start with a clean slate. Get rid of the mayor. Start with a clean slate, because that's what we need to do. We need to start with a clean slate in Fall River. Because by doing that, we're going to be able to start from the bottom up, and they will learn. You don't do what we want, we get rid of you.
You know, and you're 100% right. And the thing is that it's funny that you mentioned that we mentioned this on a show a while, but we've mentioned a lot of things on the show that have come. You know, they always say, "Oh, you guys do nothing but fake news and this other," but in reality, what did we've talked about a lot of things. We talked about the charter.
Right.
Ad infinitum, that it was horrible. And now look, it's horrible. And then I think, was it the last show or the show before, I talked about Martin Luther King's statement about if you don't agree with the law and you decide to disobey it because you feel it's an unjust law, you also have to accept the consequences of that and be prepared to go to jail. Well, guess what? On the, I believe it was the NBC Nightly News I was watching a couple days ago, they were talking about the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's assassination, and they actually ran a clip of that comment. And he talked about how civil disobedience, and if you feel a law is unjust, you should do it, but not with violence, but blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the statement, he made the comment, however, if you disobey a law because you feel it's unjust, you also have to be prepared to pay the penalty. And that's one of the problems we have in today's society. Everybody wants to disobey every law, but there can't be any consequences. Because the laws only the laws we like apply, and they don't understand the concept that if this is a nation of laws, we have to obey them. And if you don't like a law and you really want to prove it's unjust, disobey it, but be prepared to go to jail. And the example I used on that show was Mandela.
Yeah.
Mandela was, against apartheid. So what did he do? He went to jail.
For 10 years.
And Martin Luther King was prepared to go to jail. And Gandhi was prepared to get hit over the head with a club. And that's what he did more than once. So, but that's the thing. There are consequences. These laws are laws. And then this morning I turned on the TV and everybody's in an uproar about DACA and all the signs. There's nobody's illegal. Humans can't be illegal. Well, yes, they can if they say you're an illegal immigrant, you violated a law. It's not a crime. Well, it is. But the fact is, when you disobey a law, you have to suffer the consequences. And I love it. We have a holiday for Martin Luther King. They quote him all the time.
Yep.
But they leave out the most important part, because if you listen to Martin Luther King, all these dreamers should leave. They should, when they came to this country and disobeyed our laws, they should have expected to suffer the consequences if they were caught, and that is deportation. But no, they become a voting. They become a voting issue, because now everybody wants to do that, because we break into subgroups, which is one of the problems with this country. This country was called, what was it? What was that? Now, they called it a melting pot, didn't they?
The Great American Melting Pot.
A melting pot. So what was supposed to happen is you were supposed to come to this country, and most of the people lived in their own neighborhoods. Like in New York City, they had Spanish Harlem, and they had, and then they had the Irish section and the Italian section and Little Italy. And they all stayed together because they had language issues and stuff. But ultimately, they assimilated into the culture and became Americans. And as Teddy Roosevelt once said, there's no such thing as a hyphenated American. And read his speech. Go online and Google Hyphenated Americans by Theodore Roosevelt and read the speech. But that's left now. And I hate to tell you this, but they're doing this on purpose. This is a political tactic, because have you ever heard the term divide and conquer? That's what they do. They pit one group against the other group, and then we're no longer an effective voting bloc. If we don't vote as Americans, and we vote as all these groups, they divide and they conquer, because then we can't get as many votes as we need to get these bums out.
Well, the interesting thing about the DACA problem is that you have millions of schools across the country all supporting this support of illegal aliens.
Yeah.
They're supporting it, and they're supporting DACA. Even Bristol Community College here supports DACA. And I understand it. If it was the law of the land, and it was an executive order, it wasn't even a law. It was an executive order, and that's fine. But that executive order has since been rescinded. Now they want to stop it from being rescinded. It's not a law. It was an executive order.
Yeah.
So guess what? A president can rescind executive orders. That's what they can do. But now they've got the Supreme Court and the Federal Appeals Court and everyone getting involved, and they're making it way too much of a problem. It really is.
Well, they're creating a problem that shouldn't have existed, because look, how many trillions of dollars have we spent on border patrols?
Right.
Down on the Mexican
and how
border?
many border patrol agents have we lost that have died in the line of duty?
Many of them have died.
That's right.
And in a line of duty. And the fact is that, look, like I said, now it becomes this is a humanitarian. No, look, it's a country of laws. That executive order should have never been put into effect. These people were illegal. They're bringing in, and they're coming across the border, and with them come drugs and stuff. They're not saying they're all right, but we got to close our borders to many things, including the immigrants, but also to drugs and everything else. And the fact is that this is one of the major problems we have in the United States today. We have become a nation of arbitrary and capricious laws. We only enforce the laws that we deem subjectively politically correct or incorrect. So now they think that these people should be allowed to stay in this country because they got away with it for a long period of time. I don't see that logic. I'm sorry, because if you use that logic, if you get a serial killer that got away with killing people for 30 or 40 years before they caught him, we're not going to prosecute him?
I look at it this way. There are other countries, many other countries, not a few, in this world that if I want to go visit them, I need to get a visa. I need to go through the immigration process. If I want to go and visit France, I've got to get a tourist visa or whatever you call it.
Passport.
I've got my passport, and I got to get a visa from the country to go into their country.
There, yeah.
And if I want to stay there for a long period of time, I've got to have immigration papers. It's that simple.
Well, we all did. Your, you know, I don't know whether it's your grandparents or your great-grandparents, but all of us, even back to some of the people who came over on the Mayflower,
right?
You know, or went to Virginia there in the first colony. But the fact is that we all came from another. You know, all of us came. Even the Indians, what they called Native Americans, they're not native to North America. They came over the Great Ice Bridge.
Right.
When we were connected up in Alaska. They all traipsed over the Great Ice Bridge and filtered down into North America, Mexico. That's how they got it. If you
broke into tribes again.
And broke into tribes, exactly. And the fact is that, look, there is nobody native, but as Theodore Roosevelt said in that speech, he said, there's no such thing as a hyphenated American. And some of the best Americans I know are naturalized Americans. He wasn't anti-immigrant, but he expected you, if you wanted to come to this country, as our forefathers did, to come in the right way. And then when you get here, assimilate into the culture. You came here because you wanted to come here because this was the land of opportunity, and now, you know, you should be part of that country. But that is a long gone concept now, because what we do is we you know, politicians and political parties break up everybody on every conceivable way, by nationality, by color, by sexual orientation. You name it, they'll figure out a way to make you into a group that they can pander to and get your vote. And by doing that, they break up the collective, and it's the collective that has power. When we vote together in our own best interests, things get done. When you get broken up into, you know, on the grand scale by whatever they're using to make you, carve you out, then we have problems. Because the reality is, look, they do it here in Fall River. You know, it may not be by ethnicity or color or whatever, but it's by, do you like the chow mein sandwich that so-and-so gave you? You got to vote for him for city council. Doesn't matter whether he's taxing you to death. Oh, yeah, he comes over, he gives me a ham dinner or a chow mein sandwich or something like that. So they get you into the little groups, the people in the high-rise. Oh, they're the ones that we feed for a vote. These are the ones that we buy drinks for a vote. You have to be able to vote in your own interest. And until the public realizes that, don't look at what they give you, look at what you get from them. And all you're getting from them are more and more taxes, more and more jobs. And the weekend flush, CJ talked about the unemployment rate. And look at our unemployment rate, twice the state average.
And the national average.
Who cares about the rest of the country? We know that. Florida doesn't care. You know, you just read Marc's Dion. We don't care about the rest of the country. But the fact is, here it is. Twice the state average. And what do we continue to do? New positions, more taxes,
right,
more fees, more. And so what did that chow mein sandwich get you? You got a chow mein sandwich that cost that politician, 80 cents to make or 65 cents to make.
And now he's thousands of dollars.
They're croaking the city with millions and millions of dollars worth of debt.
Yeah.
Crippling the city.
I agree. I agree.
That's it.
Hey, we had another gun issue at another local school.
Well,
the
shell
Rivera
casing
school.
issue.
Yep. Well, it's a gun issue. I mean,
it's a gun. It's
an empty casing.
Somebody didn't police their brass.
Yeah.
They
but the thing is, I have said this since time immemorial. Every school in this city, whether it be elementary, middle, or high school, should have metal detectors at the front door. We've gone beyond this now. And for Superintendent Malone, for the mayor, and for the police department to not advocate for this says that they don't care about your children. They don't care about your grandchildren. It's got to stop somewhere. And, you know, you've got kids marching through streets, not in Fall River, but they're marching through streets screaming about gun control. But we're not doing anything nationwide to prevent these problems from happening. And when we do, it's after the fact. We have a school now that has an elementary school which has a shell casing. They said there was no other problem. But an elementary school has a shell casing?
Well, you know, and that's the thing. And look, CJ, you know, as you said, we should have metal detectors. We should have single egg. They're talking about the new high school having a single entrance so they can monitor. But we should have, you know, I don't care how inconvenient it is. The reality is, look, we can't have extra police presence at every school. What are we going to have, a 7,000-man police department? I mean, if we're going to have a police officer...
They won't get a pay raise.
Yeah, and they won't get a pay raise. You know, get nothing. They'll have to pay them 50 cents an hour if we're going to have that many people, because the budget will be, you know, 10 times the city budget. You can't police this. You need to have security measures. If you look at the major airports that have, you know, issues, if you go to Israel, if you go to England, Heathrow, when they always had the problems with the issues that they had in Northern Ireland. I mean, even today, Heathrow is an extremely secure airport. But, you know, there are ways to handle it, and there's no way to eliminate it totally. That's something that people have to understand. There's no way you ever... But a shell casing, okay, you can't take it lightly, but the reality is whoever got that might have picked it up in the middle of the street. Yeah. Because I'll tell you what, I got out last week to walk into the dollar store on Quarry Street, and I looked down, and I picked it up, and there was a 9mm shell casing in the parking lot.
Yeah.
So it's like I threw it in the trash, because what good's it going to do? I could have taken it into the store and dropped it on the floor and caused all kinds of stuff. But I mean, I'm walking. I look down. There's a shell case in the parking lot, and there have been many shots fired in that area. So it was just probably a shell casing from one of the shootings. And, you know, how many... We had a period there when there were shots fired virtually every night for a week in this city. So probably not something that's unique to find a shell casing. But the fact is that this reveals a very, very real problem. They're looking at this deal for extra police presence. How long? How long? Is that forever? No. So why don't we look at, as you said, a long-term fix? And that is metal detectors, you know, even if they have ID cards for you know.
But every one of the schools do have children with ID cards.
Yeah, but they should be like scannable stuff.
Right,
and,
exactly.
You know,
I agree.
you know, I mean, they got an ID card with their picture or something, but I mean, they should have a you know, some kind of system. But look, it's money well spent. And the fact is that we need a long-range fix to this problem. But the problem we have is that whenever they do anything, it's either temporary or it's something that they promise is going to make sure that we never have an issue. And that's an impossibility. Terrorism has proven over the course of history that if somebody really wants to die, you're going to have a terrorist act. If they're willing to sacrifice their own lives, well, you can't fundamentally stop people who are religious zealots or crazy people. They're gonna try to do it. Can you minimize it? Can you make sure that if they try it, they're gonna have a hell of a time getting in, and they may get hopefully shot or at least stopped before they get in the building and do any damage? Can we minimize it? Yeah, hopefully yes. but we've got to be realistic, and that's one thing we never are in Fall River. Like I say, we're not with any causes, we don't have any marches, but you know, we're oblivious to everything, and everything we deal with in Fall River is we ignore reality, and we say, don't worry, we're going to fix it with this. We have the panacea to everything. And just like unemployment, we've been fixing unemployment for the last 40 years in this city.
I was going to say 4 or 5 decades.
Yeah. So here we are. So we don't have a good track record with that either.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Hey, look at this. A school which does something that doesn't cost the taxpayer a dime.
Yeah.
Diman is awarded $17,500 from their own educational foundation, which is parents and alumni of the Diman school system that raise money for various projects. They raised $17,500 to expand the tea room, what they call the Room 251 restaurant. They're going to expand that to the outside so they can have an outside cafe. Now, I think that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And it's not costing the taxpayer a dime. And that restaurant is pretty self-sufficient, I'll tell you now. I've eaten there when it was called the tea room.
They say the food's pretty good there.
Yeah, it is. It's reasonable. It's reasonably priced.
Did you notice who one of the people were? Will be dedicated
to Frank Santos, the Chief Financial Officer of Operations for Rosen Resorts and Hotels.
Yeah. Guess what? CFO, but look what he's in charge of. Resort hotels.
Yep.
But we got a CFO in the school department in charge of I don't know what. So he's the chief financial officer. Even though we got a treasurer, an auditor, they got their own treasurer. They got this again. There's where we spend our money in the Fall River school system. Diman's a regional school, and look what they've done. Very, very good. Why don't we see something like that?
How come we don't have a Durfee Foundation that can raise some money to do these things?
You know, the Durfee Foundation is too busy trying to build a new school at our expense. So
but this is what I'm saying. I mean, the Diman Educational Foundation is doing this, and it's not costing the taxpayers a dime. Where's all these alumni that everyone speaks about for the Hilltoppers, for Durfee? Where are all these alumni doing all these great, wonderful things? They're not there. People don't believe in their school system because they don't believe in their city, and they don't believe in their elected officials.
Well, but they should believe in results. And that's the thing, and that's what disturbs me, because you look at the results and look at the bottom line. We look at the unemployment. Have we fixed it? No, not in decades. But you still keep electing the same people or the same type of people. You look at a city, even with a few new city councilors. All they do is nod their heads like bobbleheads, talk about it, and then authorize the money. And that segues us into, look, Diman budget, I'm not ready to endorse using the casino revenues for a lease. Why? Because they don't know exactly how much they're going to get and when they're going to get it. Wow, fiscal responsibility.
Oh my God.
What is this? What is this? Hey, Fall River City Council, they're not spending money yet because they're not sure. And that's all you guys ever do. That's all you ever do.
Tiverton was smart. I mean, they know they got money coming in, but they don't know how much. People want to have their taxes offset. The Tiverton Town Council wants to look at doing that, but they want to know how much money is going to be coming in.
Yeah, because if they offset too much, they're going to be in a hole. Fiscal responsibility. What are they? They should all be incarcerated. I can't believe it. Isn't that some kind of crime? Oh, wait a minute. That's only in Massachusetts.
It's funny as hell.
But it is. It's funny.
But you're right though. It's fiscal responsibility, and it's unheard of, especially in Fall River.
Uh-oh.
It's that time already.
It's that time.
Well, clean off your cars, everybody. Don't drive around in your rolling igloos, and stay angry.
No portholes.
No portholes, please. We'll see you on Wednesday.